station in southern Ukraine, according to Ukraine's energy ministry. The targeted site is part of an LNG import network linked to the US and Azerbaijan. Kyiv says the strike was aimed at civilian infrastructure and intended to damage energy ties with Western partners. Russia's defense ministry confirmed the attack but claimed their forces hit gas infrastructure supplying Ukrainian military facilities. The strike took place near the Romanian border, and it comes as energy supply routes grow increasingly critical to Ukraine's war effort and diplomatic relations with the West. We're now joined by Mark Sutherland. He's a geopolitical analyst. He joins us live from London to discuss the ongoing Russia-Ukraine war. Mark, as always, pleasure having you on the programme to discuss the updates. What's the significance behind this attack in particular, Mark, before we discuss what's going on in the background of this? Dozens of Russian drones striking gas pumping in southern Ukraine. What do you think that's going to do to Ukraine's capabilities, and especially as the winter approaches?
Good to be with you, Thomas, again. Thank you. As you are aware, and many other people are aware, the winters out there are vicious. It's extremely cold, and if you are actually attacking that infrastructure, then you are really trying to wear down your idea is to wear down the population of Ukraine in this case, which is what Russia is then trying to do. They are then trying to take out any structure that is of economic value, and as you mentioned, this whole thing of supply in regard to gas, oil via Europe, etc. There has been tit for tat over the last week. We have seen drone attacks go into the Ukraine, taking out oil infrastructure and other tech infrastructure that Russia has. So that constant discussion about trying to get people to get both sides to the table, as President Trump wishes to do. We go back to when he said, I would get this solved in a few days. Sadly, this has gone on with all the loss of life on both sides and all the infrastructure that Ukraine, what's happened with the destruction in Ukraine as well. So after being in Turkey, 45-minute discussion, we need a longer discussion between both sides around the table to end this war. But Russia is turning around and saying, right, we've got the winter coming up, of course. Military action means it will get bogged down in the weather as well. And they are piling on the pressure on the Ukrainian people by taking out certain infrastructure in the way that they are actually doing, Thomas.
Mark, indeed, and we also see this, as you've mentioned. We've seen US Special Envoy Steve Witkoff meet with the Russian President Vladimir Putin. This comes also as there's been further attacks within the last 24 hours. Just a couple of hours ago, there was an attack in Zaporizhzhia, which killed 2 people. Do you have any optimism that any agreement is going to be reached here, just given 2 days before the US imposes sanctions on both Russia and Russia's closest trading partners? What are your thoughts on possible developments during these Washington-Moscow talks, Mark?
I think Mr. Witkoff, the envoy, has a heck of a lot on his plate, including what's unfolding in the Middle East. Maybe it might be a good idea to send someone else to then say, this is totally your portfolio, to really focus on this. I think we always have to be optimistic, but we also have to be, it sounds a bit on the other side of the pond, we also have to be realistic in this situation, because of Putin turning around and saying, it's not stopping. He also has, I believe, there is also economic strain on Russia itself in regard to the war chest that he has built up with oil and gas. And that has helped to fund what has happened since 2022. Without it seeming an easy phrase to say, it is deeply complex. But I have to hope, we have to be optimistic that people will get to the table to end this. And very sadly, it could have ended 2 or 3 weeks after the Russian invasion. And various people didn't want that to then happen and stop Zelensky actually saying, right, we'll have a discussion with Putin and we'll have a peace deal. We have to be optimistic, Thomas, but with winter coming, this is going to be tough for people inside the Ukraine, and also with Russia knowing how these drone attacks have been able to reach targets in Russia as well. So we need to be constantly optimistic to get these people to the table. But as I say, Witkoff has a heck of a lot on his plate, also with what's happening in the Middle East.
Mark, of course, if this sanctions clock does get to zero and we reach that August the 8th deadline with no movement towards a ceasefire reached, how effective do you think these sanctions are going to be in putting on Moscow?
There is no doubt about it that this is the other lever that President Trump that the Trump regime have. There is frustration, I believe, my opinion, that getting these two sides together to have a discussion. There is no doubt about it. The Donald can pick up the phone, talk to Vladimir, talk to Zelensky. There is a relationship there with Putin, but also within the administration, certain people may feel that they're also being played because he will not stop. They have no option then to apply the economic sanctions. However, that is then what is then shown, say, in the public face. But there's also consistently, there is trading that is always done that we have to pay attention to, that maybe not mentioned. This then has an effect, as you rightly say, on other people, other countries within that region. And very often it takes a lot of work to work out who is trading with who. There'll be a public face on that to say in regard to economic sanctions, but other trading routes will be constantly sought. And remember, China also then it will be buying energy, buys energy reserves of Russia, etc. So again, it's complex, but the economic levers are being used in this case. If we reach, as you say, you reach that deadline of the 8th of August to say, which is a moment happening any moment, to stop this war and stop the casualties on both sides.